to come in, as much money as he can so they can sell off WBD, so then he can make his money back basically.
Yeah. Well, honestly, Zaslav has gone on record saying everything's for sale. But
Yeah,
with the success Warner Bros. Been having without DC right now, if DC's also on fire, like with sales and a big rebound with DC, would you still want to sell? I don't know. I don't know.
well,
I think it's
well,
definitely possible that that rumor is true. That he ultimately David Zaslav is going to do what's best for him. I know.
yeah,
I
he's
think
got,
we all agree
yeah,
that.
we all agree with that. Yeah, he's gonna do what's best for him, and he knows, like, that he inherited over 400 billion or billion in debt. So we already know that. But the
But
fact
but
that,
Warner Brothers had a great year with Wonka, Dune 2, Barbie, and then if he made the right decision and James Gunn actually pulls DC films out of the fire that they were in, I don't. Well, anyone want to comment on that? Rhea, Voltaire, Rhea,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
guess like my comment is there's already sort of like, a foot in the door for increased licensing out of different projects or allowing other studios to work with these IPs. And yeah, I think like Max, I think you mentioned or someone else did. I think it was probably William too. Like, if WBD lets go of DC, that's quote unquote like this the dumbest decision ever because that's such potential profit generator for your brand. And he's I think William's convinced that that would be that would get an adverse reaction from the board because of the potential revenue for that IP. But I think we should also give validity to how much licensing out and how many streaming platforms and competing streaming platforms are getting these licenses of their existing films, and it's becoming less of an incentive for Max for consumers to have to access these films and this content from DC when it's it's accessible on other platforms, especially free platforms like Tubi. So
Mhm.
yeah, Max, circling back to what you said about Zaslav saying everything's for sale, and that may also include uh not just like I maybe like individual licensing, because like how Sony
Yeah.
they don't have a streaming platform, they kind of license out everything. So that might
Mhm.
be a happy medium where WBD keeps the IP of DC and all its characters and stuff, but there might be selling off of like uh not selling off but licensing for that ongoing revenue stream, because
Like Sandman.
that's a little bit more easy to forecast in my mind than just individual sales, one and done sales, as opposed to licensing, which is recurring revenue.
All right.
Right. Okay.
I'm kind of
That's-
going with. Would it make sense to still sell it though? You think?
Well,
If
Well, I mean,
all
not sell but license, but oh, you're
like
saying either or.
like actually sell like to Discovery or like the other rumors were suggesting, like I think what Talati was saying, like if they're doing better now, would it still make sense to sell it if they're doing that, if they start doing this good? Voltaire, what do you have anything to add to there? What do you think? The rumors that it's not proven that they're going to sell, but that was
Mhm.
one of the theories about what Zaslav's planning to do is flip it, get rid of the debt, make it profitable, and sell it to another company. Should they still do that if all their at least a lot of their properties are really rebounding?
If they make a Superman movie that makes over $700,000, I don't think they sell it at all.
700 million.
700 million.
700.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
not 700,000. That wouldn't do it. But yeah, 700 million.
Yeah, in terms of like selling for sure, licensing, oh absolutely. Maybe even leaning in more into that too.
The
That's
license, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Licensing, right? That's really helped them too. It's very interesting to see DC prop up on Disney app, on Disney Plus and Hulu. That happened this last week.
Or
Yeah.
Sandman on Netflix. That was a huge success for them.
Yeah.
hmm
So that's another. Yeah.
Oh, and
That's
I think we were also speculating that Tom Cruise having like somewhat of an agreement to create more content, and then Margot Robbie as well. It's the optics of these high profile talents being announced for working with
Timothy
WBD
Chalamet
as well.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom
So like
Cruise.
it's for me it's kind of like I have to remember that not every part of WBD is necessarily has to align to DC Studios. You know, DC
Yeah.
Studios can, you know, kind of like be that anomaly. And then WBD as like, you know, a legacy brand, you know, they're going to, you know, prioritize that. And then like, you know, House of Dragons and other proprietary content, that's kind of like, you know, where they're leaning more into it. And then yeah, with the DC Studios stuff, you know, it seems to be fair game as far as like less of a, you know, focus to keep everything in house and more open to the idea of like just, you know, generating any kind of revenue, whether it be like selling off different products to other platforms or like I keep saying this, recurring revenue from the licensing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little more flexible, I think.
Well, I don't want to. I don't want to keep everyone. I don't want to Voltaire to have an embarrassing moment on stream, especially
It will never happen again.
especially when there's so many witnesses, over 337. We don't want to hear
Almost
Voltaire
an
slurring on stream. So I'll do like 2 or 3 more questions.